When you were younger, did you ever try to stand in the shadow, on the sidewalk of one of your parents or another adult? Maybe try and walk around in that shadow a little bit. I remember doing that when I was real young, second grade, first grade. And hard to remain in the shadow, of course, but I want to invite you to think about, for this summer, standing in someone's shadow. Someone's shadow. Whose shadow? One of the countries that is not discussed a lot or talked about, but it's really a beautiful place to travel to, is Slovenia. And I was just there for a couple days, a few years back. And one of the neat things about it was, as I went around, they've got the Alps in the northern part, and people think Alps, they go to Switzerland or Austria, but Slovenia is beautiful too. Anyway, you go to these towns, and it seemed like for a lot of them, they had this kind of a hill, and then the whole little village was built around the hill. And you know what was on top of the hill? The church. The church was built on the hill. Town after town after town. And when you look at the houses, they often had this red clay roofs, also very beautiful, and I'm sure when they're decorated white in the winter, it's even extraordinarily more beautiful. But think about those little towns built around the churches that they reside in the shadow of Mother Church. That when the sun comes down and travels through the day, the shadow of the church glances across the homes that live especially on the north side. Well, I think about the shadow, and I think about today as Mother's Day, and I think about the Blessed Virgin Mary. And how beautiful it is, in a way, to be able to stand in the light of Christ, but to have sometimes also that shadow, the presence of our loving Mother, that we are so near. When children are born, in their early weeks of development, it is said that they are not able to identify themselves as separated from their mother. Like for the first weeks of their life, they actually think they and their mother are one person. And of course, they begin to learn there's a certain detachment over time, a little anxiety with it, separation. They learn that they're, in fact, their own person. But today, as we celebrate mothers, I want to invite you especially to think about our spiritual mother, Mary, and to think about being able to rest at times in her shadow, which can be cool, which can be a place of security, a place of love. I also share another just a story, a little anecdote. In the gospel today, Jesus says, "Remain in me. Remain in my love." If we're in the shadow of Mary, in the light of Christ, we will be in His love. There was a man who was part of our service and was shot down in Bosnia years ago when the United Nations were there and there was war going on. And he landed and he set off a kind of an alarm, or if you will, a signal to the good guys that this is where he was. And he had to stay within the parameter about 30 yards from this signal for like 21 days. And the enemy army was going all around searching for him everywhere. And during this time he was eating worms and grass. He was rationing the 1 pint of water that he had. And finally he was saved. He was saved. A hero for us and those who went in to redeem him. And why I share this little story is because we also need to be saved. And in order to be saved, we have to stand, if you will, in the shadow of the church. We need to receive the instruction of God through the church. Our mother, our spiritual mother of the church, our Mother Mary. To receive the sacraments, to live a life of prayer, to listen and to read the living Word, which comes to us generation after generation through the church. So, to be found, to be saved, means also, in a way, to say, Lord, come to me in this place, and I will allow myself to be here waiting for you. So Jesus says, if you live according to my commandments, you will remain in my love. And so my final point, conscience. To remain in Christ, to remain in his love, means to listen to the authentic voice of God, the living voice through our conscience, and to say, I will strive to live the moral life. So 3 ideas for your summer. 1, aim to be in the shadow of our mother, Mary, and the church. Live in the light of Jesus Christ. Listen to his voice in your conscience to follow the commandments of God. Then you will remain in his love, and your joy will be complete.